I have been doing, although no, this isn't one of the, this is actually one I'm like kind of morbidly curious about, even though it's current Star Wars. I've been morbidly curious just because who's developing. So Star Wars Eclipse could be in trouble. According to recent reports, French studio Quantic Dream is struggling internally with the future of Star Wars Eclipse hanging in the balance as employees are striking outside the studio. Quantic Dream, for anybody that doesn't know, is the game company that has done games mostly that people probably know as like Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, Detroit Become Human. I have a weird enjoyment of some of those games, mainly Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human, even especially Detroit, as paused as that game is great just for mainly the detective side of it, because I think I'm trying to remember. Oh god, now I can't remember his name. Hang on, let me get it really quick. The gentleman behind Quantic Dream, oh god, let's see, figures the one time I forget. David Cage, I think that was it. Yeah, David Cage. I think he likes doing detective stories most of all, because especially like Fahrenheit, which was probably one of the games early on that he's known for. I didn't hear about this Nomad Soul game, but I mainly know of his games of Fahrenheit, Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit Become Human. Like I said, I think he likes doing detective stories, but he gets kind of too wrapped up in wanting to tell multiple stories when he should just focus on one. And he doesn't do a bad job. They're interesting. They're weird and eccentric and stuff. But like it was for Detroit Become Human in particular, like the more at least for me, the more engaging story was the Connor, the police investigator android. The other one, the Marcus, he was just funny just because it was funny to make the little terrorist fail. Kara, there's a lot of questions that get raised in that storyline, but anyways, I've been kind of curious what would be going on with this, but surprisingly, people are striking. Star Wars Eclipse was announced years ago by Quantic Dream, and in the time since the reveal, there has been virtually no news about the project besides a few cinematic trailers. Quantic Dream has faced turbulent times over the past year. The Detroit Become Human studio recently pivoted to releasing a MOBA game titled Spellcaster Chronicles. I didn't hear about this, I think, which never really got off the ground. After Spellcaster Chronicles shut down on June 19th, oh, that's unfortunate. June 19th, Quantic Dream stated that layoffs would hit the company promptly as it reorganized, quote unquote, and refocused efforts on other projects, seemingly Star Wars Eclipse. As layoffs loom, workers at Quantic Dream have decided to take matters into their own hands. A recent report from the French outlet Game Cult states that Quantic Dream employees are currently striking outside the studio's Parisian headquarters to save 115 Spellcaster Chronicles employees who would be crucial to the development of Star Wars Eclipse. From being put on the chopping block, one employee told the outlet that Quantic Dream is severely understaffed and that letting go of these devs who could otherwise be assigned to the studio's Star Wars project would only cause more crunch as work on the game trudges on. The strike began on June 26th at the same time that Lucasfilm representative was visiting Quantic Dream to see how the game was progressing. I'm sorry. That's just the timing of that just particularly just feels funny. Striking devs say they are taking a stand to save Star Wars Eclipse from further jeopardy. Additionally, insight from these striking developers puts Star Wars Eclipse development state into perspective, and it's not a pretty picture. From the looks of it, development of the game has been a challenge, as previously evidenced by reports that Star Wars Eclipse is still years away. Devs on the picket line believe that without the help of these 115 employees, Quantic Dream's Star Wars project might never even see completion. Oh, wow. Hinting at a very troubled internal development. The situation outside the studio continues to develop, and there is currently no word from Quantic Dream's higher ups on what comes next for the studio following the strike. Quantic Dream is far from the only studio facing layoffs amid turbulent times in the gaming industry. Xbox studio Compulsion Games is going through its own round of cuts and potential closure after South of Midnight underperformed. Meanwhile, Bungie just got gutted. The Destiny 2 staff, they recently were shutting that down, but they're going for Marathon, and I thought Marathon was so popular. As its focus on Marathon as a whole, cuts are hitting the industry across the board, and is certainly making fans wary about the future of upcoming games like Star Wars Eclipse. Hope is still there for the devs impacted by layoffs, though. CD Projekt Red's associate game director recently took to social media to extend a hand to anyone affected, and fans have been rallying to support their favorite studios and their developers. Quantic Dream's employees strike might bring some good, and hopefully the retention of staff that could get Eclipse to the finish line, but fans will have to keep an eye out for what happens next. Hello, Qui-Gon, how are you today? Saying, yet we didn't have too much issues when LucasArts was around under George Lucas era. Sure, there are many canceled games, but at the same time, we had more games back then, unlike being under Disney. Well, and it certainly seems as of late they've been trying to do a bigger effort. We've been getting a little more games here and there. The last one I really played was between the Battlefront 2 and Fallen Order. Otherwise, that's been kind of it. I haven't checked out anything else. I felt like they were trying to make more of an effort, but that did kind of come with a bunch of announcements, and now we're hearing a bunch of other things like it is for this for staff. Crap, I forgot. My brain just completely lost the word. But yeah, picketing and protesting. So instead of them announcing a game they can't finish, how about finish the game then announce it? Or at least certainly get it to a more near complete build, not just when you're in an alpha build, but maybe when you're about ready to exit beta and go to that final build and ready for the launch build. Basically, like, that's when you should announce your game. That way you can really ramp up the marketing campaigns and stuff like that. But yeah, they are not and like I said, I have a weird curiosity for this game since David Cage and everything. I'm wondering if he has a hand in it, because like I said, I'm curious what the hell sort of game he'd be putting together. But yeah, so this was published June 27th, and I do have a follow-up article where, Quantic Dream says Star Wars Eclipse is still on track despite concern. Thank you, Qui-Gon. So yeah, this was published just 2 days ago. No, it was posted yesterday. Sorry. Recent news hasn't been too positive for Quantic Dream, the studio behind the highly anticipated Star Wars Eclipse. But a new statement from the company says the game is proceeding as planned regardless. Star Wars Eclipse was announced almost 5 years ago. Okay, so the 5 years is about the development time for a lot of games nowadays. So I guess we'll see. We will see where this is all at. But even so, like, that's wild. Like you said, Qui-Gon, they should be announcing this much closer to release. But the games nowadays, we're all paying for early access at this point. Like, oh yeah, get it now, but we're still gonna be releasing a bunch of updates that we had to do to fix the game that we broke and didn't fix before release. Quantic Dream has had a tough few years following the announcement of Star Wars Eclipse. Before recent events, the French studio was already regularly issuing statements on the game's status, often denying rumors that it was in trouble. However, the company's recent failed venture into the MOBA space with Spellcasters Chronicles has put it under much scrutiny, as Quantic Dream announced that layoffs were coming to the MOBA staff soon, prompting a strike outside the French headquarters. Striking Star Wars Eclipse employees claims the project's future is in question following these cuts. Amid the pending layoffs and the ongoing developer strike, Quantic Dream issued a statement to IGN claiming that Star Wars Eclipse is still on track and has everything it needs to reach the finish line. While multiple developers on the picket line claim the completion of Star Wars Eclipse is contingent on the 115 laid off, Spellcaster Chronicles staff members finding a new home on the Eclipse team, Quantic Dream asserts that those employees have no bearing on the project status. Oh no. However, those currently on strike claim that without these workers, the crunch on the project will only intensify. The French studio concludes its statement by saying that its priority is to ensure that any affected employee are supported and cared for as they depart, refusing to comment further. So here's the quote. As previously stated, the development of Star Wars Eclipse remains unaffected by the recent closure of Spellcaster Chronicles, a decision driven by the challenging market conditions in that segment. The development of Star Wars Eclipse is continuing as planned with the full commitment of its team and all the necessary resources to complete its mission. Quantic Dream. Negotiations with the French video game workers union Le Syndicat des I can't say all that are going on, or STJV are ongoing with Quantic Dreams following the strikes that broke out on June 26th. The STJV demands that Quantic Dream mitigate the number of employees it lays off, and that anyone still left goes to work on Star Wars Eclipse. The actual status of Star Wars Eclipse development remains a mystery, with the very first and only time fans have seen anything about the game being at the Game Awards in 2021. David Cage, founder of Quantic Dream, has previously stated that it is no longer a single project studio. It is no longer a single project studio, which could explain why development of Star Wars Eclipse has been so slow, given the company's detour into MOBA games. Was more, outlets in 2022 reported that on Quantic Dream's controversial workplace environment, which has supposedly been linked to hiring issues and further development problems. Industry analysis at the time projected that Star Wars Eclipse would be out by 2027 at the earliest, and as that year rapidly approaches with no new trailers or info for the game in sight, that launch window might be further out now. Star Wars Eclipse isn't the only Star Wars project facing uncertainty. The radio silence amid growing concerns, the much anticipated, by whom, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake was similarly announced almost 5 years ago in 2021, only to be indefinitely delayed and have its development studios sold following Embracer's mass restructuring in 2023. However, the project is reportedly still in the works despite all the turmoil. I have been doing my dance of cancellation for that game, and it still seems to be in effect. It's working. Oh yeah. Let's cancel it. I want nothing more than that project to be shut down completely. Shut it down. You don't need a remake. If you need to, just look up some freaking mods and away you go. You can make the game look a little prettier and all that sort of stuff. There you go. Because they were talking about rewriting the story, doing unnecessary things to it. It's stupid. So basically, it would probably be very much akin to what was done to Final Fantasy VII. They're going to do some unnecessary retelling of the story, and make changes that were definitely not wanted or needed. Sure, you might get some flashier gameplay or something like that, less of the turn-based style. Although now with the whole that Obscura 33 game or whatever, where turn-based has kind of made a comeback, or at least done right for current year gamers, who knows? But yeah. So however, the project is reportedly still in the works despite all the Star Wars games are certainly no strangers to development hell, but hopefully neither of those two ends up being canceled entirely. Somebody loves Star Wars Outlaws and wish Ubisoft would greenlight a sequel. Who the hell? Disgusting. Anyways, like I say, there's a weird part of me that really wants to see this Star Wars Eclipse game, see what the hell David Cage is doing with Star Wars. I'm curious. It's got my morbid curiosity. I want nothing more than the Knights of the Old Republic remake to be officially shut down completely, 100%. Let it go. Stop it. Like I said, my dance of cancellation is working, I think. So here's to that. Yes, Eclipse. Let's see it. I'm kind of curious. Qui-Gon says, it's hard to push a game out if they can't commit to it. Yeah, then there's that aspect of it. They can't commit to jack shit, it seems. So yeah, very, very curious to see where the development of this will all go. Crazy that this company is facing this big strike right now after a failed MOBA, which, I mean, like it is, the market is saturated enough as it is, and it kind of sometimes comes down to, okay, so who do you point the finger at? But it's just like, you know, it sucks. Like I already said, it's never good for anybody facing a layoff or firing or whatever. That my heart goes out to them, but it's just this industry has gotten so crazy, so bloated, so out of control that it's kind of like, well, you know, I mean, they took a chance. I'll give them that. They took a chance. They went for it to try and make a MOBA, to try and get into the MOBA scene. But unfortunately, that is what it is, and it didn't pay off. It's not that. Sometimes though, maybe just sticking to one project is more the route you want to take, unless you have really expanded enough to be able to delegate those resources appropriately. But I'd say, even for the time being, stick to your team, stick to a team that you know works and gets the job done, and don't overcommit, because this is kind of where it gets to.
Thank you for watching this clip from Respawn Roast Cantina. Please like and subscribe if you like what you see, and check out the full episode.